We all know running can be a great form of exercise, but how to get started, how much to do, and actually then how to bring your whole family into the fold are really good questions. So I'm here with Virginia Brokiachman from Twin Cities in Motion, and we're going to talk all about running because you guys really are the experts. So first of all, how does somebody get started?
Well, if you've never run before, I suggest that you start walking. Okay. You do a little walk, a little run, so like maybe a minute walk, a minute run, and do that, repeat that as many times as you can.
Okay, so some kind of like interval training in a way, okay? And then let's say I'm really ambitious and have a goal and say I've never run before, but I want to run a 5K or a 10K. Are there resources out there to help me kind of plan for that?
Yeah, you can go online, you can go to our website, it's the Medtronic TC Kids Marathon Program,
okay.
And you can find that at the Twin Cities in Motion website, or you can go out online and find programs that will help you. And we have one that takes you from beginning to working your way up to the 5K.
Okay, all right, that's great. So, and that's free probably, right?
It is free, thank you.
So anybody can access it and kind of get started. It's almost like being your own personal trainer with the guidance of the experts.
There you go.
So what are the benefits of running?
Oh goodness, besides the fact that it's really fun,
yes.
It's actually good for your heart and good for your lungs because you can increase capacity. It's actually really good for your brain too because the increased blood flow helps your brain, stimulates your brain. It's also great for endurance. So if kids are involved in other sports, it helps them gain their strength in the other sports.
Okay.
And it also just makes you feel good. That feeling of that euphoric feeling when you're done lasts with you all day.
That's great. So as with any sport, there's injuries that can happen. What should we watch out for, and how do we prevent and keep ourselves safe from injury if we do take on running?
Rule of thumb is just always start off easy and don't do more than you can because that's really how you get hurt. You either push too fast or too far. Okay. So have a plan to gradually build up over time. Okay. And if you do you do get hurt, it's always good to go in and get checked to make sure it's just it's minor.
All right. And then what about as far as stretching? Is that something? I know I've heard both kinds of theories. Is stretching something that happens before or after or both?
It is a good idea to do some warm-up and stretching and even some jumping jacks and some toe touches and that kind of thing to kind of just warm up. Okay. And then when you cool down, you can always do some gentle stretching at the end too. Okay.
So I have got two kiddos with me here, Chandler and Ella, and they maybe want to get started running. What's the best way to get kids? And they're both going into second grade, so they're around 8. Is that too early, or what's the best age to start kids on a running program?
Gosh, we have at our events, we have 4-year-olds that come out and run.
Wow.
It's starting in preschool, so I think it's whenever the family starts running.
Okay.
And you're never too young, but again, the same rule of thumb applies for them. Start slow, start easy, build up, maybe walk run if they already know how to run, then maybe just do it for shorter distances and work your way up over time.
And I know the mile is a big thing at school. That's a big part of the physical fitness program. So each spring, I think the kids have to run a mile.
Yes.
How long does it take kids typically to run a mile?
Everybody's speed is different, but an average 10 or 12 minutes is, for an average person.
Okay.
Personally, I'm not too fast either. I can do a 9-minute mile.
Okay. All right.
But so it just depends on how far along you are in your training. But you know what? It's just moving. And even if they have to walk, run in that mile, they're moving.
Well, and that's actually interesting. Something we've talked about is you don't have to. So with Twin Cities in Motion, you guys are in motion. You have this whole equivalency chart that is sort of like this many cartwheels equals this much running or this much hula hooping. Ella was saying you can hula hoop for 10 minutes, right? So that is another thing to think about too. If you don't want to run all the time, there are other things you can do that still condition you to run. Is that correct?
Yes, and what you can do is, so if you know that you run a mile, say in 10 minutes, and if you do the equivalent heart rate in hula hooping, in soccer, in dance, and if you're moving for that 10 minutes, you can convert that to a mile.
Okay.
And you can do that right on the website.
I think that's great because a lot of times, especially with kids, they don't want to do the same activity all the time, and even with grown-ups, honestly. So it's good to, and then probably that cross-training shakes things up too and is good for our bodies, right?
Yeah. I mean, we all want, in like our name, we want people in motion, and it can be running with us or it can be out doing other things. We just think it's really important to support people moving.
Okay. So how long would you recommend these guys warming up before they were going to go for a run?
Oh, I think just a few minutes. They can do a little gentle stretching and maybe do some running in place, some jumping jacks, and then just gently start off. And if that feels good, you can increase a little bit. And if it needs to stay at that pace, just stay right where you are.
So parents are probably wondering, what are the proper warm-up techniques for kids? Can you show us a couple things with these guys?
Sure. First, we'll start with our feet together and gently go down and try and touch your toes. And if you can't touch, it's okay, just hang. And you would do that for 10. Or you would spread your feet wide.
Spread your feet wide.
And maybe touch this foot, for your left foot first, or your right foot, either one. And hold that for 10. And then you go to the other side.
Hold that for 10.
Or if you want to get your heart rate going, you start doing jumping jacks. And that, want to do jumping jacks? Then we can do our jumping jack. Okay. Or you can just run in place. You know, you just want to kind of get things moving, and maybe you want to put your arms behind your back and stretch, or do that. Yep, you got it. You just want to move around and get loose.
Moving and then do some stretching. Do you recommend a little bit of moving before the stretching?
No, either at the same time is fine.
Either way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, great. Now, I know Twin Cities in Motion actually has a program specifically for kids that it's a nonprofit program, or well, I think your whole organization is nonprofit, correct?
Yes, correct.
So you have kind of an outreach program to get kids moving. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. It's called the Medtronic TC Kids Marathon Program, and it's geared towards parents and teachers to help them get the kids moving.
Okay.
And it's a half-mile, 5K training program.
Okay.
And you can go online, download it, it's free, and then you can actually log your miles. And so you can use it then to build goals.
Okay.
You know, see how far you've gone over time, and it helps teachers use it. A lot of teachers use it too, like to do math, or, you know, use science, like how many miles is around the earth. Let's see if the classroom can make it around the earth, that kind of thing.
And that's really interesting. One time when we were talking, you told me actually you've had quite a few parents whose kids have started running, and then as a result the parents have started running, and how proud the kids feel about that.
Yeah, the kids will start, a lot of times they'll start through their teacher at school.
Okay.
And then the parent comes along to the event, to our races, and they see what they're doing and how much fun it is, and then we rub off on everybody. It just happens. It's inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of, once you get started with running, I mean, it can be hard to get started, but once you get started and you've got a race under your belt, it's sort of like addictive. You kind of want to do your next race. So, I mean, it can be a lot of fun, and then just the whole camaraderie with it and all of the things that go with it.
But yeah, and I think that's what's neat for families too, is none of you have, I mean, nobody has to be great at it, right?
Right.
You just get out, you move, and over time you build goals as a family, and I think that also builds, you know, more together time, which is as important as moving.
I think it's great too. Yeah, together and moving. I mean, that's a really healthy way to spend family time. What about for those of us who live in colder climates or do get a lot of snow and those kinds of things? What kinds of activities do you recommend, or how do you recommend keeping up with our running then during those times? Well,
you know, if you actually have surfaces that are plowed, for example, you know, here in the Twin Cities on these lakes, they're plowed, right? So you can actually get down and run on them. It's just important to be dressed properly.
Okay.
You know that we need to cover our head and our hands when it's cold, and then you just layer up depending on the temperature.
Okay.
And you know, it's a trial and error thing too. Like you go out on a run, and if it's not enough, you add more the next time, and if it's too much, take it off. But biggest thing in the winter is finding a good surface, and if you can do that, you can still run outside, or you know, run in the kids can run in their gyms at school.
Okay.
They can sled, they can skate. You know, we're lucky to have skating.
Yes.
You know, there's other activities
all of
too.
those activities. Thank you. This has been so informational, and I love your program, and I love your races. You guys do such a great job with everything. So thanks for talking to us about running with kids.
Thanks for having me.
To learn more about getting started with your running program, visit our website.